whole radio world. Hey, if you're new to ham radio and you know what things to buy, what type of antennas you want to buy, depends on what kind of equipment you want. And if you want to save money, there's certain things you really don't need unless you're really going to get super big. Like, check out KK6FR's QRZ page. That's what I call it, super big. Look at the picture of his house. Anyways, yeah, you know how you got 10 through 160, and you may think you need all that coax, reach band. Depends on the antenna you buy. Okay, you can build a maypole antenna 10, 20, 40, and 80. All you need is one coax. And you don't need an antenna switch box, okay? Because the antenna switch box is also in the radio, because if you got a maypole antenna and you build it for all those bands, and you hit 10 or 20 or 40 or 80, that wire you put on the maypole will come alive, okay? Now 10 meters and 20 meters, the receive signal is not as strong as they are like on 40 and 80. But there's some guys out there, they're using a beam antenna, not one of those small beams, they're using one of those big old monsters out there, okay? And they'll pull your signal in really good, okay? Because they got a very good antenna system, okay? I mean, I use a maypole antenna, and I talked to a guy, and I was doing 600 watts with a dipole, and he's in another country like Lithuania, near the capital Estonia, and okay, because his antenna system, I believe that he gave me a signal report 30/9. All right. Yeah, you don't need to buy an antenna switch box unless using both ports. Some radios may have 4 SO239 connectors on the back. All right. And you got all them tied up. Then you may need a switch box. If you want to see a good example, a reason why you need an antenna switch box, and I recommend the Alpha Delta. I don't work for Alpha Delta. I had one, but I know it got stolen. Anyways, I had some people breaking my place, steal my stuff. But yeah, you can buy an antenna switch box. I recommend the Alpha Delta. And if you're using a lightning surge protector and you're running high power, make sure you buy one that's high power. Now, if you plan to run power, legal limit, if you're going to buy an antenna tuner, buy one made for legal limit. So that way you don't have to sell the little 300 watt that you got and buy the legal limit dummy load. Okay, this way you ain't got dead equipment laying around. Yeah, my nephew just recently got his license, got an HF, and asked me what he can do, this and that. And now, if you're going to use an off-center fed, I think it's pretty good. I don't know if you got to use an antenna tuner or not, and that's the Windom antenna. It's a multi-band antenna. That's a very good antenna. I talked to people who had one. I used the maypole antenna. Now, I was living in a place, I was unable to use my 80 meter dipole because the yard was small. But lucky for me, I ran into an old guy who knew his stuff. He knew how to repair electronics and stuff, and he goes, until I wanted to do a 160 one time, he goes, by 100 yard space, and he goes, oh, do a 160Z. So I built myself an 80 meter Z antenna, and that worked really good in a small yard. Use the same amount of yard space as the 40 meter dipole. And I'm talking about inverted V, because inverted V, okay, it takes up less yard space. So, and I have built antennas for guys who are into ham radio. They've been longer and they know their electronics, but I guess they really didn't understand the part of antennas. There's one guy kept on telling me, oh, the bands are down, the bands are down, the bands are real down. And I'm seeing a real good signal. So he was using a long wire, and because he might have say a short wave listener, but even a long wire for short wave might be bad, you know, unless you really understand the harmonics and stuff like that. Just build the antenna cut for the frequency. I built him an 80 meter dipole, and next thing you know, he was saying, man, look at those signals. So he got to see the proof in that. He's good electronics. I gotta say that. He's good electronics. Okay, because I had him check out the power supply on my amplifier one day. Just to rule out what I needed. So I ended up buying a new tube. That's what I needed. And if you run an 811 or 811H and you're not getting full power output, unplug your amplifier, take the cover off, take the tubes out. You gotta have a watt meter. Okay, turn down your drive real low because you don't want to overdrive the tube, and you can put the one tube in at a time. Put your cabinet back on because you need it, because you got a safety switch there. So when you warm it up and all that, tune up your amplifier and the drive, it'll tell you how many watts that one tube is putting out. You may get 160, 200 watts out of a tube. Okay, so anyway, I'll try to hit that there. I run 811, and amplifiers can be expensive, but here's the trick. If the type of amplifier you want, if you can afford it, is one tube. Okay, it costs more money for that tube, but AL1200, one of the best repairmen would say CB radio operators could not destroy that tube in that amplifier. And it's a very good amplifier, AL1200. I'd be wary about that RM Italy amplifier they're building. It's a pile of junk. Okay, I have heard a guy who had one. I mean, this guy had the best radio. He had the Ameritron amplifier, and he switched over to his RM Italy amplifier. Oh man, he had an Yaesu FT5000. It made that radio sound like crap. Yeah, stay away the RM Italy. Okay, they're junk. Okay, and yeah, there's guys like KK6FR. You want info? He might tell you some things about antennas and stuff, and he built several antennas for other people too as well. Or 3913 N7IU. That's a very nice gentleman. He has very good stories about his family, and they're true stories, and he makes the radio, you know, and he's not a jammer and stuff. We got some idiots out there. They like jamming, but until they run into the wrong guy, or they come across an FCC guy. Yeah, watt meters nowadays, they're not true peak reading watt meters. Okay, if you can find one like a Yaesu old model for HF, that's a true peak reading watt meter, and it requires 12 volts of power for that meter to work, and that's why it's a true peak reading watt meter. But yeah, you don't need an antenna switch box. You don't need all that cable if you just build a Maypole antenna for 4 bands, 3 bands, 4 bands, maybe 5. Okay, then if you want to switch over to big beams and stuff, and all your SL239s in the back of the radio being used, then that's when you want to buy an antenna switch box, and I recommend the Alpha Delta. All right, They're a lot better and nicer and stuff. And install on your antenna, or okay, an a 2 meg ohm, a 3 meg ohm 2-watt carbon resistor on your antenna. You can put it at the top of the antenna, solder a wire across, or you can also put it inside the radio, and that'll kill static voltage coming down your antenna into your radio and damage it. So you need some kind of device that'll it'll drain the voltage, and the RF of the radio will not see that. You can also use a choke and stuff. And like Frank, he likes Powstar's antenna tuners, and he knows how to all the mod them up. So in the wintertime, you don't hear it sparking in the inside. Some states you get that snow static and all that stuff. Or an electrical store can be a mile away, and that voltage, you can hear it arcing inside your antenna tuner. So, but if you can find an old silver roller inductor antenna tuner, grab it if it handles legal limit. The new stuff in the radio is not a true antenna tuner. They call it another device. But you can ask HRO, they'll tell you what it is. I was there one day and the guy told me, that's not a tuner, it's this. It says tuner on it, but it's not the actual antenna tuner that they used like a long time ago. Anyhow, my call sign is good on QRZ. And my